Level 1. Your first paycheck. You stare at your phone. Your paycheck has finally arrived. For a few seconds, you simply smile. After years of school, applications, interviews, rejections, early mornings, late nights, you finally earned your own money. Not an allowance, not birthday cash, not money borrowed from your parents. Your money. It isn't a fortune, but it doesn't have to be. Because today, it feels like freedom. You immediately begin imagining everything you're going to do: a better phone, new clothes, dinner with friends, maybe even a weekend trip. You feel like life is finally beginning. You tell yourself, I'll work hard, I'll save, I'll build a great future. Nothing seems impossible anymore. Your parents congratulate you. Your friends tell you to celebrate. You deserve it. You believe them. That evening, you buy yourself something you've wanted for months. It feels incredible. You order your favorite meal. You even pay for everyone else's. You don't think twice. Why would you? Another paycheck is only 2 weeks away. Life suddenly feels easy. You wake up excited for work. You enjoy introducing yourself. I just started my new job. The words make you proud. For the first time, you feel like a real adult. Then, your first rent payment arrives. You pay it. It hurts a little, but that's life. Then comes your electricity bill, your phone bill, internet, gas, groceries, transportation, insurance. One by one, your paycheck quietly disappears. You don't panic, not yet, because you still have enough, barely. The following weekend, your friends invite you out. You almost say no. Then you remember, you're working now. You can afford it, right? You spend a little more than you planned. It's only this once. Monday arrives. Your car needs new tires, unexpected, but manageable. Tuesday, your coworker asks if you'd like to contribute to someone's birthday gift. Of course. Wednesday, your streaming subscriptions renew. Thursday, you grab coffee before work. Friday, you check your bank account. You freeze. Where did it all go? You scroll through your transactions. $20 here, $40 there, $9, $15, $38. None of them seem important by themselves. Together, they've emptied your account. You whisper, that can't be right. You check again. The number doesn't change. Your next paycheck is still 6 days away. You suddenly begin calculating everything. If you spend $10 today, will you still have enough for gas? Can you skip lunch tomorrow? Maybe you don't really need groceries until next week. For the first time, money isn't exciting. It's stressful. You begin checking your banking app every few hours. Morning, lunch, before bed. The balance slowly gets smaller. Every purchase suddenly feels heavier. At work, your coworkers are talking about vacations. One just bought a new car. Another is saving for a house. You smile politely. Inside, you're wondering whether your debit card will work at the grocery store. One evening, your mother calls. How's the new job? It's great. You settling in? Yeah. You saving some money? You hesitate. Trying to. You don't tell her the truth. You don't tell her you've been staring at your bank balance for 3 days. You don't tell her you're already counting down to payday. Because you're embarrassed. You have a job. You're earning money. So why does it still feel like you're barely surviving? The following Friday, your phone vibrates. Payroll deposit received. Relief immediately washes over you. You smile. You can finally breathe again. Then, you begin paying your bills: rent, utilities, phone, insurance, groceries, gas. By the end of the evening, most of your paycheck is already gone. You sit quietly on your couch. A strange realization slowly settles in. You spent 2 weeks working for money that disappeared in less than 2 hours. That thought keeps echoing inside your head. You aren't building wealth. You aren't getting ahead. You're simply resetting the clock until the next payday. For the first time, you understand why people celebrate Fridays. Not because the weekend is here. Because payday means surviving another 2 weeks. You look around your apartment. Everything you own suddenly feels expensive. The couch, the television, the lights, even the food in your refrigerator. Adult life isn't just earning money. It's watching almost all of it leave. You open your banking app one last time before bed. You stare at the remaining balance. You calculate how carefully you'll need to spend over the next 14 days. Then, you quietly close your phone. Because you've just learned something no one ever taught you in school. Getting your first paycheck was never the finish line. It was only the beginning. And tomorrow, you'll discover what it feels like when every dollar already has a destination before you even earn it. Level 2. There's never enough. You begin measuring your life in paydays, not birthdays, not holidays, not weekends, paydays. Everything revolves around them. The week after you're paid, life feels manageable. You fill your gas tank, you buy groceries, you even allow yourself a small treat. By the second week, you're doing math before buying a cup of coffee. You tell yourself, I'll wait until payday. Those 4 words quietly become part of your daily vocabulary. Your paycheck hasn't changed. Neither have your bills. But somehow, there's always less money left than you expected. You decide to be more careful. You stop eating out. You cancel a few subscriptions. You skip buying new clothes. Surely, that should fix it. It doesn't. Because every month, something new appears. A higher electric bill, a rent increase, more expensive groceries, higher gas prices. You start wondering if life itself is getting more expensive. One afternoon, you walk through the supermarket. You grab your usual groceries, bread, eggs, milk, chicken, rice. Nothing fancy, nothing unnecessary. At the checkout, the cashier tells you the total. You blink. That can't be right. She scans the screen. It's correct. You quietly ask her to remove a few items. First, the snacks. Then the juice. Then the cereal. You smile politely. Inside, you're embarrassed. The customer behind you pretends not to notice. You wish you could disappear. Driving home, you think about something strange. You're working more than ever. But somehow, you feel poorer. At work, everyone talks about promotions, investments, retirement accounts, buying homes. You nod as if you belong in the conversation. In reality, you're hoping your account doesn't go negative before Friday. One evening, your best friend calls. We're planning a weekend trip. You coming? You immediately want to say yes. Then you check your balance. You already know the answer. I can't. Why not? I've got some bills. He laughs. You always have bills. He's joking. But he's right. Your bills never stop. You spend the weekend at home instead. Not because you want to. Because staying home is cheaper. You scroll through social media. Everyone seems to be traveling, eating at nice restaurants, buying new cars, moving into beautiful apartments. You begin comparing your life to theirs. You wonder what they're doing differently. Are they earning more? Are they saving better? Or are they struggling too? You honestly don't know. The only thing you know is your own reality. Every paycheck arrives and disappears. One Friday afternoon, your coworkers decide to order lunch. Want anything? You almost say yes. Then you quietly reply, I brought food today. You didn't. You simply can't afford to spend another $20. So you drink water and wait until you get home. Nobody notices. You hope they never do. A few days later, your phone buzzes. It's your bank. Low balance alert. Your stomach tightens. You still have 5 days until payday. You immediately begin making cuts. No coffee, no takeout, no unnecessary driving, no spending. You become an expert at saying, maybe next month, that new phone. Next month, that vacation. Next month, starting an emergency fund. Next month, replacing your worn-out shoes. Next month. Next month never arrives. Because every new paycheck already belongs to someone else. Your landlord, your utility company, your insurance provider, the grocery store, the gas station. You simply hold the money for a few hours before sending it away. One evening, you decide to calculate your monthly income. Then, you subtract every expense: rent, utilities, insurance, transportation, food, internet, phone, minimum debt payments. The number left at the bottom of the page makes your heart sink. It's barely enough to breathe. You sit there, staring at the notebook. You realize something frightening. You're not building a future. You're surviving the present. The next morning, your manager asks if you can work overtime. You immediately say yes, not because you want to, because you need to. Extra hours become your new normal. Longer days, less sleep, more exhaustion. You convince yourself it's temporary. Once you catch up, things will get easier, but they don't. Because every extra dollar seems to disappear as quickly as every regular one. Then, one rainy Tuesday morning, your car refuses to start. You turn the key again. Nothing. Again, nothing. You sit there in silence. You already know what this means. a tow truck, a mechanic, a repair bill, money you don't have. As you're waiting for help, you check your bank account, then your savings. There isn't enough. For the first time, you understand what people mean when they say they're one emergency away from disaster. And tomorrow, that emergency will force you to make a decision you never thought you'd have to make. Level 3. One emergency away. The mechanic doesn't waste your time. He lifts the hood, looks for less than a minute, then sighs. This isn't going to be cheap. Your stomach tightens. How much? He writes a number on the repair estimate. You stare at it. It's almost your entire paycheck. You laugh. Not because it's funny. Because you don't know what else to do. You check your bank account. Not enough. You check your savings. Almost empty. You stand there wondering how a single broken car can completely destroy your month. Then you remember something. You still have a credit card. You promised yourself you'd only use it for emergencies. This is an emergency, isn't it? You swipe it. The payment goes through. Relief washes over you. For about 5 seconds, then reality returns. You didn't solve the problem. You postponed it. The next paycheck arrives. Instead of feeling relieved, you immediately pay the credit card bill. Half your paycheck disappears before you even touch it. You're right back where you started. Except now, you owe money. A week later, your apartment building announces a rent increase. You read the email 3 times. Maybe you misunderstood. You didn't. Rent is going up next month. Again. You open your notebook. You begin crossing things out. Streaming services, gym membership, weekend outings, even your morning coffee. Eventually, there's nothing left to cut. You've already cut everything that wasn't essential. The problem isn't your spending anymore. The problem is that life keeps getting more expensive. One Friday, your coworkers invite everyone out after work. It's been a long week. You coming? You almost say yes. Then you remember your account balance. You smile. I've got other plans. You don't. You drive home, heat up leftovers, and spend the evening refreshing your banking app. Not because you're expecting more money, because you're hoping the numbers somehow changed. They don't. The following week, your phone buzzes. Your younger brother. Can you help me out? He needs a small loan. Just a couple $100. A year ago, you would have sent it immediately. Now, you can't. You stare at the message for nearly 10 minutes. Then you type, I'm sorry. I can't right now. He replies, no worries. But it does worry you, because you've become the person who can't even help family during a small emergency. That thought stays with you. Days later, your refrigerator stops working. You notice the milk first, then the smell, then everything else. You throw away almost all your groceries, money, straight into the trash. You sit on the kitchen floor. Your head in your hands, you're exhausted. Not physically, financially. Every month feels like a race, and somehow, life always reaches the finish line before you do. One evening, your mother calls. How are things? You answer automatically. Everything's good. She pauses, then quietly asks, are you sure? You almost tell her. About the debt, the repairs, the rent, the empty account. Instead, you swallow the truth. I'll be okay. After hanging up, you realize you've been saying those words for months. I'll be okay. Not because you believe them, because you're trying to convince yourself. A few days later, you wake up with a fever. Your entire body aches. You can barely stand. You look at the clock. You should call in sick. But then you remember, missing work means losing pay. You slowly get dressed. You drive to work anyway. Every step hurts. Every hour feels longer than the last. Your manager notices. You don't look well. I'm fine. You're lying. Again. Because you can't afford the truth. That afternoon, you're stocking shelves when your vision blurs. The room spins. Everything goes dark. You wake up in a hospital bed. A nurse smiles. You're awake. Your first question isn't, am I okay? It's, how much is this going to cost? The nurse hesitates. You can speak with billing before you leave. Billing. Even the hospital has someone waiting for your paycheck. You stare at the ceiling. You realize something that breaks your heart. You've become so used to surviving that even getting sick feels like a financial emergency. As you're discharged, they hand you the paperwork. You fold it without looking. You already know you can't afford it. That night, you sit at your kitchen table surrounded by bills, hospital, credit card, rent, utilities, car payment. You add everything together. The total is impossible. You whisper, I can't keep doing this. For the first time, you stop blaming bad luck. You stop blaming inflation. You stop blaming your job. You ask yourself a different question. What if the way I'm living is the real problem? That question changes everything. Because tomorrow, you won't just be trying to survive another payday. You'll finally begin searching for a way to escape the cycle altogether. Level 4. Breaking the cycle. You don't sleep that night. Not because you're worried, because you're tired. Tired of watching your paycheck disappear. Tired of checking your bank account every morning. Tired of pretending everything is okay. Most of all, you're tired of surviving. You look around your apartment. Nothing in here is luxurious. A small couch, a used television, an old dining table. You aren't living beyond your means. You're simply, barely living within them. For years, you believed one thing. If I just earned a little more, everything would be fine. But then you remember something. Every raise you've ever received disappeared within months. Your lifestyle quietly expanded. Your expenses quietly grew. Nothing really changed. That realization stays with you. The next morning, instead of checking your bank account, you open a notebook. At the top of the first page, you write 3 words. Where is it going? For the next 30 days, you write down every dollar you spend. Coffee, parking, lunch, streaming subscriptions, late-night snacks, delivery fees, impulse purchases. Nothing is too small. At first, it feels pointless. Then patterns begin appearing. You aren't wasting hundreds of dollars in one place. You're leaking money everywhere. Tiny purchases, small conveniences, little habits. Individually, they don't seem important. Together, they quietly steal an entire paycheck every month. For the first time, you stop saying, I don't know where my money went. Now, you know exactly where it went. And that changes everything. The following weekend, you clean your apartment. Not because it's messy, because you're looking for things you no longer use. Old electronics, unused furniture, clothes you've forgotten about. You list them online. Within days, they begin selling. It isn't much, but it's something. More importantly, it's movement. For months, your finances have only been moving backward. Now, they've finally taken one small step forward. At work, you volunteer for every overtime shift. Not forever, just long enough to breathe again. You also do something you've never done before. You ask your manager, what would it take to earn a promotion? He looks surprised, then smiles. Nobody's asked me that in months. He tells you exactly what skills you need. Exactly what experience matters. Exactly what he wants to see. For the first time, your extra effort has a destination. Not just another paycheck. A better future. One evening, you call your internet provider. You've been paying the same bill for years. You simply ask, are there any cheaper plans? The representative checks. There is. Your bill drops by $30. $30 for a 5-minute phone call. The next day, you call your insurance company, then your phone provider, then your streaming services. One by one, your monthly expenses begin shrinking. Not dramatically, just enough to matter. You realize something important. Financial freedom isn't usually built through one giant decision. It's built through hundreds of small ones. Weeks pass. You continue writing every expense. The notebook becomes your mirror. Some days, you don't like what you see. But at least you're looking. Then, something incredible happens. Payday arrives. You pay your rent, utilities, insurance, groceries, gas. You wait for the familiar feeling. The panic, the stress, the disappointment. It doesn't come. Instead, you notice something unusual. There's still money left. Not a fortune, just a little. You stare at the number for several seconds. You almost think the app made a mistake. It didn't. For the first time in years, your paycheck lasted longer than your bills. You don't celebrate by buying something. Instead, you transfer the extra money into a savings account. It isn't much. $25. You smile anyway. Because it isn't the amount that matters. It's what it represents. Hope. A few months later, another emergency happens. Your washing machine stops working. Months ago, this would have destroyed your finances. Today, you quietly open your savings account. You pay for the repair. No credit card, no loan, no panic. You simply pay. As you're walking back to your apartment, you suddenly stop. You realize your heart isn't racing. You're not calculating which bill you'll skip. You're not wondering how you'll survive until payday. For the first time in years, an emergency feels like an inconvenience, not a catastrophe. You look up at the evening sky. A smile slowly spreads across your face. Not because you're rich, because you're finally making progress. Tomorrow, you'll discover something money can never truly buy. The feeling of finally being able to breathe. Level 5. Finally breathing. Your paycheck arrives. Your phone vibrates. Payroll deposit received. You smile. Not because you're excited, because you're calm. That feeling surprises you. For years, payday meant relief. Now, it simply feels normal. You make a cup of coffee, sit at your kitchen table, open your notebook. The same notebook that once held pages filled with fear. Now, it holds a plan. You pay your rent, utilities, insurance, groceries, gas. Everything leaves your account exactly as expected. No surprises, no panic, no racing heartbeat. Then, you look at your balance. There's still money there. You don't immediately spend it. Months ago, that would have been impossible. Now, you move part of it into your emergency fund. Another part into your investments. Another into your vacation savings. It isn't a huge amount, but it doesn't have to be. Because for the first time, your money has a purpose before you spend it. You leave for work. Traffic is heavy. Normally, that would have annoyed you. Today, you turn on your favorite music. You realize something strange. You aren't thinking about money. You're thinking about life. At lunch, your coworkers decide to eat at a nearby restaurant. One of them asks, "You coming?" You smile. Yeah. Months ago, you would have made an excuse. Not because you didn't want to go, because $20 would have ruined your week. Today, you order lunch without checking your bank account first. Not because you're careless, because you finally planned for moments like this. That afternoon, your manager calls you into the office. He smiles. "I've been watching your work. You've changed." You laugh. "I hope that's a good thing." It is. He slides a letter across the desk. Your promotion, along with a raise. Months ago, this would have solved every problem. Today, it simply accelerates the plan you've already built. As you leave the office, you don't think, "Now I'll finally be okay." You realize something much more important. You were already becoming okay. The raise is simply a bonus. That evening, your mother calls. "How are things?" You smile. "They're good." This time, you're not lying. She hears it immediately. "I can tell. You sound different." You pause. Then quietly say, "I finally slept through the night." She doesn't understand what you mean, but you do. Financial stress had followed you everywhere. To work. To bed. To family dinners. To vacations you couldn't afford. To every grocery store checkout. It was always there, like background noise. Now, for the first time, it's gone. A few weeks later, you receive an unexpected bill. Months ago, you would have panicked. Today, you simply open your emergency fund. You pay it, close the app, and continue your day. No fear, no borrowing, no credit card, no sleepless night. Just another problem with a solution. One Saturday morning, you stop by a small cafe. The same one you used to avoid because coffee felt like a luxury. You order your favorite drink. Find a seat by the window and watch people rushing past. Some are checking their bank balances. Some are worried about rent. Some are counting the days until payday. You recognize that look because it used to be yours. You quietly whisper to yourself, "I'm glad I kept going." Not because you're wealthy, because you're free. Free from checking your account 10 times a day. Free from wondering whether your card will be declined. Free from choosing between groceries and gas. Free from living in constant fear of the next emergency. As you finish your coffee, your phone vibrates. Another paycheck notification. You don't rush to open it. You smile and slip the phone back into your pocket. Because you already know something your younger self never did. The goal was never to become rich. The goal was to stop living in fear. You stand up, walk out into the morning sunlight, take a deep breath, and realize something that took years to understand. The biggest paycheck you ever received wasn't the one with the most money. It was the one that finally gave you peace of mind.